Hello, 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 everyone who's in the building. Hello, good night, good night, good night, everyone who's in the building, whoever is here, drop a comment in the chat. Welcome to another episode on the Growth Project podcast. Tonight we are starting an amazing series. We are starting the divine feminine discussions. So for everyone who's joining us, I know that's why you are here. I'm so excited to be able to start the series and host these little talks on the platform. I've been getting a lot of requests just for talks about femininity and like relationship in general. And I'm like, me? Why? So it's fun that I get to bring on people as well that I love and I feel really master these subjects or embody these teachings, and we can have these discussions. I was talking on my story before I came here how like it's weird to me sometimes when people ask me a little bit about like femininity and feminine, like being in our divine feminine and like tips for that, because I used to be the opposite of whatever divine feminine is. I was the opposite. I definitely did not. I was kind of like a hater of divine feminine energy or just feminine energy in general. I had a misconception about what feminine energy was. I thought it was just all about being like super submissive and just letting someone like rule you and whatever. And I did not want to be a part of that. I was just like, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to clean. I'm never going to cook for anyone. I don't care. I really saw that as just like being feminine and, just being super girly and like an airhead. I had really negative connotations about femininity growing up. So I was that like the journey to being here and just being super proud of being a woman and being a feminine woman and being a spiritual woman. Like the journey did this thing. I'm so happy to be here right now, and I'm so happy that y'all want to hear more about these subjects from me, and that we're able to have these discussions between us girlies. So if you're here, just put a little love in the chat. I can't wait to bring up today's guest. Y'all already know from the title and also from the flyer a little bit who it is. But I do want to say that originally when I met the Love Scientist, when I met Keisha, I saw her online and I like instantly was just obsessed with everything that she was about. You can tell when someone is authentic. You can tell when they are literally radiating their truth and that they are teaching what they're doing and they believe in what they say. And it just like she was just this light and she really shined through. And just through just seeing her profile and connecting with her and following her stuff and just seeing all of the big things she's doing, I'm super duper happy to have her here for the next couple of weeks to talk to us all about self-love, love, relationships, being a light worker, and whatnot. So join me, everyone, in welcoming Mrs. Keisha. I don't even know how to say your last name. Blouse? Bloise? Blouse? Bloise. Miss Keisha Bloise, aka the Love Scientist. Let me give you a little chair. Yes. Okay. Welcome. So let's just see who is here. Okay, we have someone called Tomari. Hey, girl. Okay, so before we even start, Keisha, you just have to like tell the people a little bit about yourself. I would say the first thing is let us know your sign. What's the big 3 or the big 6, whatever you want to do. Let us know what is the astrology. I want to know everything. Astrology, human design, life path number, whatever it is. Just get it. Just let us know.
Okay, I am a Gemini, Leo rising. And as far as human design, I am 2/4 sacral generator. I haven't looked at human design in a minute, but I think that's my title. So I like the world, And once I found out more about human design, I was so excited because I'm like, that explains so many key points on why I am the way I am. And do you want me to just go straight into my intro?
Um, Repeat your big three because I didn't mute myself, so we didn't hear. And also, what is your life path number?
So my life path number is 1. I'm a Libra sun, Gemini moon, Leo rising.
I love that. We definitely see, definitely very much present as a Leo rising. I can tell. I can definitely tell. Life path 1. That is so interesting because you're the first number and I'm the last on the single digit spectrum. I'm a life path 9. So this is really cool. This is really cool. So yes, Keisha, present yourself. Let the people know a little bit about you, what you do before we jump into today's conversation.
Hi everyone. So I am the love scientist. People know. My love tribe, they know me as the love scientist. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been doing it since November of 2016. I am a rose scientist by way of education. When I first started the love scientist, everybody says, "Oh, your name is so cool. It's so dope." The reason why I guess when I put on my creative hat, all I did was add love in front of it. So I was like, the love scientist. I like how that sounds. And the way that I started was I knew I wanted to talk about love because I've been through a lot of. Well, we're gonna go into all of that, but I've been through a lot of. My journey has been ups and downs. I've been through trials and tribulations, and at the face of it all, looking in the mirror, knowing who I am and knowing my power was a very big part of my journey, and learning myself. So that self-discovery and that self-love piece, it made me realize that we may think that we love ourselves, but there's certain things that we go through in life that test us and test if we truly love ourselves, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. I find it extremely cool that you're an actual published scientist. At first, too, I definitely thought it was just part of the name, but I'm just looking through your profile and clicking the links and whatnot, seeing that is like super duper cool. What did I want to say? You're also an author of the book called Imperfect Self-Love. Love it. Talk to us a little bit about the inspiration behind the book and just like what the book is about.
Okay. When I was, let's say, I always knew at a young age that I wanted to be a writer. I love writing. Journaling was my thing. Like, so when we go back to that inner child, like writing, I have to write out my thoughts. It makes me feel at ease as a stress reliever, right? And I always knew I wanted to write a book, but I didn't know how that was going to come about. I'm a little girl. I'm like, I want to write a book. I want to be an author. But I was nice with poetry. I was really nice with poetry. And so like, let's say, back in 2016, when I was still trying to figure out how the direction of the love scientist, because the way it started was I didn't know the way that the love sciences has developed. That wasn't how it started. I didn't have no idea. It was a thought. I was questioning God, like, you want me to talk about love, me? Right? That's weird. And he was like, why not you? So at that moment, I was like, all right, I see what we doing. But the book stemmed from my self-love journey and tapping into so I had to tap into the darkness to get to the light. And at first the book was going to be about my dating experiences, and I shifted. And then when I had my spiritual awakening was back in September of 2017. I lost my mom suddenly. My best friend gone, just gone, right? And my mom knew about the love scientist. She would like put the battery in my back, and she also knew that I wanted to write a book. So I'm like, all right, I want to write a book. And I told my mom so I could be held accountable. When she passed, I was like, all right, that's even more of a reason to finish the book. I don't know I don't know. That's even more of a reason to finish the book. So I was like, Lord, I said, what do you want me to write about? So I was very intentional with this book. Like I prayed before I wrote. I knew I wanted to touch people, didn't know exactly how I wanted to touch them, right? So because I'm such a writer and because I look like when I'm mad, I write. Uh, yeah, when I'm mad, I write a lot. But when I'm like happy, I still write. I'll do that now, but I never did that before. So when I was looking through my notes, I was like, wait, I got a lot of information in here. I got enough information to write a book. So the imperfect self-love is just a collection of poems, quotes, and affirmations that I have developed from being at my lowest of points. And then COVID hit. So I had extra time. I said, all right, I'm not going to come out of COVID. I don't have nothing to prove for it. So I said, I'm going to make sure my book is done. So I'm intentional. I'm praying. I'm like, what's these messages? So I'm writing. I had just gotten out of a very, very bad relationship. And and this was my release. Like I would cry. There's points in here that I talk about my mom. It just was, I wanted whoever was the reader, I wanted them to be touched and to know that no matter where life takes you, you could be at the bottoms or your lowest of spots, that you could still come out on top and shine in your light and stand in your power, no matter what happens in your journey. All you got to do is get back up.
I love that. That is a very powerful purpose, and just the fact that you were able to alchemize so much pain and to put it into something beautiful and to actually have a physical product that is going to like outlive the situation that you were in, and it can now help like a lot of people. I feel that is such a beautiful way to use pain in a way. I appreciate you. Anyone who's joining, drop a heart in the chat. Drop a heart in the chat. Y'all can already see that we're already getting very deep here tonight. So just let us know that y'all are here with us by supporting us in the chat and dropping a heart in there for us. So let's talk about the journey to self-love. So you talked a little bit about how the Love Scientist started, your brand. I really love your brand. I really love your mission. I love everything that you stand for. I love the fact that you are so Gemini. I'm sorry? You're so Gemini moon, by the way. When you're like, oh, I write all the time and like I process my feelings through writing. That's so Gemini moon. And I like your brand as well and your page because like you're a scientist, you're a healer, you do sound bowls, right? You do other things like on the financial basis. Yes, you're an author. So yeah, so you do a lot, but you still make it very cohesive in your brand, which is sometimes very hard to do. But I just want to say, I think why it's just because of your energy, like your energy shines through. It does not matter what you do. And I feel like that's so attractive. And to have that level of consistency in one's energy and how we're showing up, I feel like it has to come from a very deep, solid place. And for you, based on the name of your book, Imperfect Self-Love, and the name Love Scientist, I knew it had to do something with love. And I'm a huge self-love advocate. I have a channel on Instagram called The Self-Love Circle, and my podcast has been a lot about the journey of self-love as well. So I wanted to know about if you can share with us your journey towards deeper self-love and how it started, and what changes have happened in your life ever since you started practicing and cultivating deeper self-love.
Okay, I just want to backtrack a little bit because I forgot to mention that the cover was a meditation. So during COVID, I started to like get really back into meditation. So I would have like these visions, and this vision right here is exactly what I saw in my head. So I was like, so the way that God uses us is just so powerful. And thank you for your flowers. I know you asked me a question, but I got to address everything. It's the Libra in me. Thank you for my flowers, and I want to give you your flowers. Thank you for providing a space and holding a space for us to talk about conversations that we normally don't talk about that are needed. So thank you for you radiating your light and shining your light, and and just giving us a space where where we feel like we belong. So thank you for that. Okay.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay.
My goal is to get, if we can even get more taboo, more deeper, like that would be the dream for me. But gotta go levels. It's levels to this. So yeah, talk to me about your self-love journey, and how did you just like cultivate this deep reservoir of self-love within yourself?
Okay. Oh, whew. So, but let's go back to where I was talking about. When I was growing up, I really thought I really loved myself. Like my parents poured so much love into me. My father gave me game, right? But then when I was in certain situations growing up, I'm like, wait, I don't think you really love yourself as much as you think you love yourself, right? And then when my mom passed away, that was like the ultimate test for me. It was like that hurt is, I don't even know how I could describe it, but all I remember was crying all the time, trying to pick myself up and praying, and all the only, like, of course thank God I had my loved ones, my family to pick me up. But when you got to go to sleep at night, when it's only you by yourself and you don't got nobody else to turn to, and the one person that you love so much is no longer here, you're forced to face yourself, right? And then I also made noticed that I was making some decisions that were very questionable. I'm like, that's you're operating out of hurt. Like that's not you. And who is that? And so I was very intentional during my healing, because I was hurting so bad. I wanted to feel so good. I wanted to get back to being normal again, or feeling regular, before my mom passed. And it definitely wasn't a walk in the park. Sleeping was better than living. Um, and God got me. Like God walked me through that. I had to like sit within myself, face my inner shadow, make sure that I realized how much power I have, and stand in that. So standing on business. Like and then also realizing that friendships, and because when you lose a parent, you realize that it's like everything hits you, like core values. Does this person treat me how I deserve to be treated? Does this person to like should I exchange energy with this person? um oh, they know the old version of me, they don't know the new version of me, they still subscribing to the old version though, and they got me fucked up, right? So like it's just a lot of different thoughts that go through your mind when you lose a parent, and you just want to be better. And then I also realized, like, yo, life is short. Like I lost my mom at a young age, and she used to always say, like, Keisha, you're about to be off the calendar, blah blah blah, and laugh away. And I'm like, mommy, that joke is so corny, but but I lost my mom when I was 31. And that was like a very pivotal time for me, because I question everything. I question my existence, and to get deep. And I don't know if people even get this deep, but like I feel like Bobby Christina. I had suicidal thoughts. Like what? Like my mom not here. Why the fuck am I here? Why I don't want to be here. Well, what's the point of living? Plus I ain't got no kids, so like what? I lost my heart. How am I gonna feel normal again? So I went through all those changes. And I think when you go through something so traumatic like that, and also like it being associated with, because I didn't know it was a spiritual awakening when it was happening, but like sitting with God and sitting with yourself, you're gonna know everything that's happening to you is for a reason. You may not know when your back is up against a wall, and then the only way you can go is within, yeah, you gonna figure it out.
So how did you move from something that I cannot even imagine the pain of losing a parent? My condolences, of course. How did you move from something like that to being the light that you literally are every day on social media and in your community? Because it's sometimes I feel like a lot of people see light workers or spiritual workers and they feel like, you know, it's all love and light and life is good. And I'm always reiterating that actually the brightest lights sometimes come from the dimmest, darkest places. So how did you move through that to now be who you are online?
Okay. And I think the way that I can answer that is time, giving myself grace. Like, I still cry. Like the other day, somebody was talking. A lady was talking about how her daughter was in labor and giving birth, and I started crying because like it hits you. It hits you out of nowhere. Grief, like that grief doesn't go away. And I've always been that strong friend, right? So people think, oh, they see me, I'm all good and dandy, and that it don't work like that. I got my low moments. I be mad as hell sometimes. I want to people up. Like I be going through it too. But because people are labeled at the strong friend or the healers, they have the strength to be a positive light no matter what's going on in their life. And the way that I was able to heal from my mom passing was and to show up the way I do is my mom poured so much love into me. Like my mom didn't play about me. And it was so fascinating. And my father too, because my father, you'd be like, I talk about my mom all the time. And my father, I'm gonna get back to him. But I think you guys can hear that. And then my mom was my best friend, right? And the fascinating part was her mom didn't raise her. So a woman that her mom didn't raise her, but she was able to pour so much love into me to the point where when I'm feeling good, I got so much energy, I could just throw love out, and it's so effortless, and I don't feel a thing, right? So I think it just was like sitting with myself, right, and just and there was more, right, and being realizing the spiritual signs and synchronicities that she's still here with me, right? I think if I didn't have that, I don't know if I would be in the same version of myself. But because I know that she's with me every step of the way, and she's made it apparent that she's with me. That's why I'm so big on butterflies. Like butterflies, that's so important to me because she has told such a beautiful story through butterflies that I'm able to be like, yeah, my mom's love, like a mother's love is so beautiful because it'll never die. It'll never die. And coming to those realizations and realizing that life is short. So I'm gonna do the best that I can while I'm here. Cause I don't know how much time I got left, but I'm gonna make an impact while I'm here. And even being in the life insurance industry, like I think everything happens for a reason. I got that testimony to tell about my mom. I have a testimony about my mom to help people understand the importance of getting life insurance. Like you can't say, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to pass away anytime soon." Like I can't take that serious. Like I'm going to give it to you straight on the phone. Like, "What? What? Did you huh?" And it breaks my heart to hear that. So it's like I don't want to keep rambling, but that was the journey.
No, I like how you made the connection at the end to just like how that has led you to your path now and to how you're serving now. And, you can always, like, things always lead to other things. You just have to, it's how you take it and whether you're going to let it empower you, obviously, while feeling all of the feelings or not. So I wanted to tell us, or can you explain how self-love has been a transformative force in your life? Like, how has it transformed things for you? How has it shifted things for you? Now that have built this foundation for yourself, what has transformed? What has transformed?
A whole lot has transformed. When I walk into a room, the room shakes. That's that, and to witness it. So it's not just it's so self love is so deep. You really gotta work on. The more you work on this on yourself, it shines. It shows through, and people could see it. So what the highs that everybody sees right now is just a reflection of me working on myself. Like COVID, I took that serious. Like I wasn't dating during COVID. I'm not dating. Like that wasn't a time for me to like just chill and relax. Of course, it was a time to be still and appreciate the slowness. But I had a game plan. Like at the end of the day, I'm gonna come out of this different. I can't continue to be the same person that I was. I'm not gonna be the same. I like this. I'm not gonna be the same person that I was when my mom was here. Like I'm smarter now. I got more tools. I got a whole squad with me. Like tapping into your power and knowing that I'm her. And it's not just me, right? We all got this. We all got this sauce. It's just you realizing that you got it and recognizing it and and recognizing it and standing strong in that and knowing who you are and making sure that nobody plays with you. I have so much to say. So like back in the day, there I want to say like if you don't know who you are, the world will show you who you are. And that's not an equivalent. You knowing who you are and the world telling you who you are, it's not the same. That's not the same definition, right? Or that same version of yourself. And that I think that's a very important skill to like making sure that you know who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, you'll get played.
I love that you said when you walk into the room, shit shakes, because from my journey with self love, it's definitely helped me as well show up as myself and show up authentically. And I feel like sometimes a lot of people, and we'll talk about confidence too, they're like, how are you so confident? Or just like, how do you find the confidence to do the things that you're doing? And I always tell them that like my confidence and my growth is fueled from self love. It is out of sheer love that I'm doing things. Nope, not because I'm being pressured, not because I have to, not because I should, but because I want to, because I love myself and I want to give myself either these experiences, being able to express myself this way. Like I want that for myself. That is why I'm like literally self-love is the basis of my growth. So I wanted to see for you, what was the is self-love like something that's foundational for you when it comes to like your life, your success, or is it just like another component of your life? Like is it just something like, okay, confidence, self-love, self-acceptance, or is it like this really foundational thing for you as well?
Self love is that foundation. Because if we don't have that foundation, we don't got nothing, right? And truly understanding what self love encompasses, because you not being able to stand up for yourself or communicate to another person on how you feel and being strong in that and confident in that and making sure you're not manipulated into thinking that what you feel is not true. You Self-love is an important tool to have, because it'll always go back to And it'll always go back to, I gotta finish that thought. It'll always go back to, do you truly love yourself like you claim you love yourself? And I feel like we get tests all the time. Like, all right, are you gonna pass the test, or are you? I gotta give you another lesson on why you should choose you next time. And I've chosen other people over myself because as a Libra sun, I am a natural people pleaser. So like my whole life I was like, okay, I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna be the best, I'm gonna be your bestest friend. And if I say no, I don't wanna hurt your feelings. So I'm just gonna say yes all the time. So when I started to change, my group of my the people around me started to change too and started to fall off. And they still falling off, right? Um, but it was just like, oh, you're not really, I thought you were my friend, but you're not my friend. So if you're not my friend, I probably got mad. I got other people around me that don't really care for me either. But you know what? That's not a reflection of them. That's a reflection of me because I allowed you around me. Because I allowed you to stay here. I should have cut you off at the first sign of disrespect, but I let it slide. Like it's so many. This self love stuff gets deep, Sharice. You know it gets deep. It's like, and then also being in love, like I love you, right? But I gotta always choose me, and learning that, because I would choose the other person because I'm a hopeless romantic. I want to be in love, right? But when it's at the detriment of my well-being and my mental, nah, that's not love. Love is not an obsession. Love is not control. Like we have so many variations that we think that love is, or definitions of love, and that's not even love.
Talk to me more about how do you see self-love in a relationship, and I'll let you go first, and then I'll talk about how self-love has impacted my relationships. But yeah, how do you see self-love in relationships? Because some people might be like, if you're all about yourself, you're narcissistic, you're self-centered, like selfishness doesn't work in a relationship. So how do you now come in from a healthy perspective, and how are we able to practice deep self-love while being in union and communion with another?
And we're talking about romantic. We're not talking about.
I would say, let's start with romantic.
Okay. As far as showing up in a romantic sense, I think, of course, there's balance, right? It has to be. There's duality. Everything's balance. And if we're really talking about the divine feminine and the divine masculine, there's going to be a balance there where the divine feminine doesn't have to choose one over the other. She's not going to have to choose her divine masculine over self-love, right? He's going to understand that, and he's going to show up as that person that he needs to for her. And he's not going to make her feel insecure. Is like those feelings are not going to be there, right? And even if it's there, he's going to be able to express and walk her through those feelings. So self-love in a romantic sense for me is still being able to not get lost in love, because there's plenty of times that I've done that. Like you get infatuated with the idea, like, oh, okay, I have this person now, I want to be this, that, I want to do this, that, and the third, and your whole world is consumed with that person. Again, there has to be balance, right? And there's a fine line between that. Like when you're in a new relationship, you do want to be around your person, but if I'm so consumed in the love aspect versus my individuality, then I got to check that, because that's not love. To me, that's more so coming into more of a session with that person. If I can't be who I am authentically and who I was as a single, being single, and I'm coming into this relationship and it's all about you, then not like that's not self-love to me. it's supposed to be a firm balance, and I can be who I am. I can show up who I am, and you do the same. And then when we walk away from each other, we can come back and be confident. I don't got to think about you was cheating on me. You was you were at Stacy's house. Like, I don't got to think about none of that stuff. I don't have to question motives. Like, I feel like there's a sense of safety and security, right? And not that antsy feeling, because I've had that antsy feeling too. Like, antsy in love, again, that's it. To me, that there's a thin line between that self-love and being in love and being consumed in that love to the point where you don't honor yourself.
Absolutely. Just making sure. Someone said we can't hear you. If you guys were talking about me, it's totally okay. I was muted on purpose. But let me make sure, let me know if you guys hear me now. So I absolutely agree with you. And I want to shout out to the chat, shout out to Instagram, shout out to YouTube currently. If you guys have anything, like, you know, if you're agreeing, if any insights is coming up for you, if you're in a relationship and you want to know how, like, tips on practicing self-love, just put those things in the chat as they come up. We definitely have a Q&A portion, but I love when questions just come up throughout the conversation so we can visit things like in real time. But self-love for me in relationships has been a very big one. Same like you. Not that I was necessarily a people pleaser. I think I was on the other spectrum where I was maybe a little bit hyper independent. But then when I would get into relationships, I would end up being codependent. So I was just always like on that axis, literally first, seventh axis. My ears rising. And I would be like, I didn't like that. So there was a huge part where I felt like I was always fighting to preserve my independence. But I now see it as I was just truly, you know, just trying not to be hurt and trying not to depend too much on someone, and it was because I didn't trust myself. So since you're getting deep, and you're right, self-love is deep. You have to root up a whole bunch of shit within yourself to come to a point where you can accept yourself for who you are. And we're gonna touch on this, I promise y'all. My brain's going everywhere. But self-acceptance is really big when it comes to self-love. And truly in the past, when I look like even back to my past relationships and everything like that, I didn't accept the person that I was. I was trying to be something. I was trying to be a version of myself that I thought I should be. I was trying to be what I thought a good girlfriend should be, what I thought a woman should be, what I thought a Black woman should be. I was just trying to be all of these different roles and stereotypes and everything that like people place on you. And not once did I thought that, oh, I could just like be myself and be loved for like who I am. Like, I don't actually have to put on like any airs, like we call them. I could just be myself. And, you know, the people who love me and the person who chooses to love me like that is actually the people who love me, not the other way around. Like, I don't have to perform for love. I don't have to change for love. I don't have to do all of those things. And when I look back to my past relationships, I did not have that understanding. Self-love was not a thing in my past relationships. It was more about becoming and becoming into that person that the other person likes, or that type of vibe. So once I eventually got out of those relationships, like you were talking about earlier, I always had to like find myself again. And I was like, hold on, there's a pattern here. Why do I gotta like find myself again after I come out of a relationship, right? It just doesn't make, like, what's going on here? There was definitely a pattern. So I was like, okay, let me explore this some more. And it was because I was completely losing myself in the relationships, or changing or merging or like whatever. And I was not, I did not, and it was because I didn't accept myself as I was. So once I kind of like, just had a little period by myself and really focused on building the foundation within myself, that is when I started feeling more solid within myself. I started accepting myself. I moved away from that kind of like self-hatred and started embracing the little quirks about myself that before I didn't like, or I would try to like hide them or push them away because I would be like, no one should see this. No one's gonna love this part of myself, right? Because I believe you cannot experience deep self-love if you have not experienced a little bit of self-hatred or a little bit of I don't like this about myself, or this isn't acceptable, or people shouldn't know this, or people shouldn't see this. It's like if you experience that, I feel like when you experience self-love is because you've gone through that. You've gone through that hump. And I forgot where I was going with that, but all of that to say that I moved out of this period of self-hatred and really started embracing myself and being like, I'm a freaking cool person. Like, I'm an awesome person. I have an awesome heart. Like, I don't want to hurt people. Like, I literally want the best for anyone I've ever met. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. And like my faults and my whatever that society says is like not acceptable or not to the standard does not make me unlovable. And I stopped looking for love outside of myself and I started like giving it to myself. And I think that was the biggest change for me. And then that's when I could actually practice self-love in a relationship, because I just understood that like the love of someone else was just extra to the love that I had for myself. Let me know what you have to say to that.
No, I totally agree with you. Like that finding yourself after every relationship, me. I would do that all the time. And you're right. Like, why I gotta keep finding myself? Like, I'm hiding something. That's why I gotta keep finding myself. Within the relationship, I'm hiding who I am and showing up as someone else. So, and I also agree with showing up as different variations of like who that person wanted me to be or what I thought I was supposed to show up as, or cooking all the time like you was my husband, like all those things. And making those making those mistakes along the way and realizing that we're here for a reason. We had to go through that, grow through that to get to where we are right now.
Absolutely. So talking a little bit more about the journey with self-love, how has self-acceptance played a role in your self-love? Because I just touched a little bit on that for me. Was that a part of your journey as well?
Absolutely. And I wanted to talk about Mean Girls. This is my opportunity. So growing up, right? I remember when growing up, and when I mentioned that the world will tell you who you are, these are the examples that I mean. So females would just label me like I'm conceited, this, that, and third, without even knowing me, right? And I'm pretty sure a lot of women can relate to this. Calling me conceited, placing me in a box, right? And that self acceptance is key, because you not realizing that just because I show up and I'm the light and it irritates you, there's nothing wrong with me. And I think that people always, are you frozen, boo? Oh, I thought you were frozen. And I think people always get that misconstrued that, okay, I'm making you feel uncomfortable, so I'm the problem. But self-acceptance for me was realizing that, nah, forget what they talking about. They and also realizing that hurt women, because I've hurt women because I've been hurt by women. So realizing that female friendships and showing up as a true friend and a true sister in those relations is very pivotal on self-acceptance too. Like knowing how to deal with other women, making sure you know being loyal, having that integrity factor. Because in these spaces, it's a lot of cattiness. It's a lot of mean girl energy, right? So hurting women, hurting, classmates, whatever you want to call it, hurting people back in your youth, and then going through that, and also realizing that, all right, not everybody gonna like you. I also felt like, okay, not, and it's okay. But back to that people pleasing, right? So identifying that people pleasing moment, but also realizing that I'm built different. Not everybody gonna like me, and that's okay. And I'm okay with that. And so that self-acceptance and that self-love, I think, and those are so closely tied together, because you have to know who you are, be comfortable no matter how uncomfortable you make other people feel, or how their insecurities may make you feel.
That's such a good point. And I'm definitely gonna come back here. I'm gonna make a note to come back here. But how did you find love for yourself and self-love in a society that constantly preaches that you are not enough, and that bombards you with messaging and marketing and everything about the fact that you're a woman, your skin color, everything in the world is pushing the message that we are not enough and that there's something wrong with us? How were you able to persevere and find self-love through that?
That's a great question. In a world that constantly tells us that we're not enough, I would say standing back on. I would also say realizing, again, because my mom poured. That's why mother and daughter relations is so important. It's so important. Like, I don't know what that feels like to not have a mother. I know what it feels like now, right? But not like growing up. I don't know what that void feels like. But because my mom pours so much love into me, because my father pours so much love into me, and they believe in me, and made so many sacrifices for not just me but for our family. How can I not believe in myself? Like, they did, like, I'm a reflection of what they, and their love and their values in me. So, like, and don't get me wrong, like, sometimes you might find a fault here, like, oh, like, now I'm just gonna be real because that's all I know how to do. But now I'm like noticing like pesky little hairs under here, right? And I'm like, I don't like these. Like, what the, like, I'm late. I'm not gonna say my age. I don't want to tell my age. But I'm like, where are these coming from? So, and growing again, because we're not going to be this age forever, but we're growing through these pains, and I don't like them, but I'm sure my body's going to change, right? I'm sure things are going to be different, but I still gotta love. This is all I got. I'm not going to switch it up. I can't switch. I can't say, I want a new body. I mean, I can, but I'm not gonna, that's not something that I'm into. And I gotta love what I got right now, period. And I gotta love this body because I'm gonna have it for the rest of my life. So I gotta just learn to accept it, even if I gotta make jokes about pesky little hair, chin hairs,
I love that you talk about having a solid foundation from your parents. I think it's really important for people to hear that, because, being in the healing space, whether you are a healer, a coach, a therapist, you hear a lot of stories and instances and situations of, childhood trauma and just people's parents passing on trauma of like you said, your mom wasn't raised by her mom. And a lot of people they continue that cycle. So their mom didn't raise them, they didn't raise their child, etc., etc. And a lot of us are products of, you know, people who didn't necessarily have a basis of self-love. And you know, hearing messages and, you know, having a lot of criticism. Well, actually, you're I was gonna say, I don't know if you're Caribbean, but you're Jamaican. You know, growing up in the Caribbean, sometimes we can hear more criticism than we ever hear the words "I love you." Okay. Like, your parents will bring you a plate of food and that's supposed to mean "I love you," but they won't ever say it. So it's weird, right? So I'm happy to hear and to see someone who has had positive experiences, and that it shows how just like the love of your parents and them building you up through that really led to you having this really deep foundation. Because like I said, for some of us, we've literally had to build it from, from the ground up. Yeah, go ahead.
And I also want to say that like, me and my father's relationship wasn't always the sweetest. We had to build that. Like, that took work, okay? That took a lot. A strict Jamaican father, what? And I'm getting good grades, and I can't go outside. I got straight A's, but I can't go outside. What? And if I go outside, it's because gal picked me, not supposed to go outside. Like, what? What? But the boys could go outside, but the girls. So it was a lot growing up. You're right. That's the gender role. The gender roles is a big thing, right? The boys could do stuff, but the girls couldn't. The girls got to act a certain way. They got to be in the kitchen. They got to be domesticated. The boys could run outside and they could get girls pregnant, but it's okay. It's because they're not bringing the babies home. Like, those are that's real life stuff that happens growing up in a Caribbean household. So yeah.
And what did you say? Sorry.
No, I said we could go on about it.
That's definitely, and we definitely will touch on that, because we have a couple more episodes. We're going to be talking more about friendships, especially female friendships. We're going to be talking about femininity, feminine power, embracing our divine feminine, all of that. So those are coming the next 2 Thursdays as well. But just touching back on the societal pressures and finding love despite that. For those, I just want to touch on that. For those of you who may not have had a solid basis, or maybe supportive people around you who poured love into you, it is still very possible to find and cultivate self-love, even if you didn't have supportive people. If you were adopted, if any of those things, you could still very much find self-love within yourself. And I think a huge part of saying fuck you to society is literally, like, a huge part of that is literally saying fuck you to societal standards, and understanding that you do not have to be what society has told you need to be loved. Like, society has standards on, like, you need to do this, you need to look like this, you need to act like this, you need to have this to be lovable. We don't say the word to be lovable, but that is like the deep message behind it. And we feel like if we don't have the car, if we don't have the house, we call it success, but it's really like we just want to be loved and accepted by everyone. If we don't have these things, we feel like failures, and we feel like we do not deserve to be loved. Where we see this with men a lot, where they literally feel like they cannot be loved if they don't have certain money in their bank account, a certain amount in their bank account, right? Where did they get this messaging from? So there's a lot of messaging that's being always sent to us, and it's subtle, and it's not always loud, it's not always printed on the billboards, but it's there, that you're not enough, you need this to be lovable, you need that to be lovable, you need this to be acceptable, and anything underneath that it's not worthy. It's like, you shouldn't be here if you're not at least doing this. And I think it's really important to look at the standards that you're holding yourself to when it comes to love. Because I truly believe, and you'll let me know, Keisha, what you believe with that. I feel like you should like, you don't need to earn your love. You don't need to earn your self-love. You don't need to earn your love. Like, you can give yourself unconditional love at any stage that you're in, at any, like, you can give yourself love right now. That you do not need to perform for your love. You do not need to earn your own love. You don't have to have a specific job or title to love yourself. You can choose to love yourself here and now, just the fucking way that you are. Even if there's things that you don't like about yourself, even if you don't like your weight, even if you don't like certain things, even if you know you could be doing better, you can still love yourself right now. Let me know what you think about that, Keisha.
Sharice, I agree with you, because like even the other day I was sitting here and I'm like, I want to love on myself right now. What can I do? So I took a shower and I put on some lingerie and I looked in the mirror and I danced and I was like, man, girl, you better stop playing. To me, that's my version of self-love, because if I don't speak that into me, who I'm gonna wait for somebody else to speak that into me? So it's important to know that you can take yourself out on a date. That's self-love. You could be present eating your dinner, getting off dropping your cell phone, being present in that moment, and practice mindful eating. That's a example of self-love. There's so many small acts of self-love. And then I also learned this from my therapist. Like a big part of my journey was going to therapy, especially after I thought I was about to marry a narcissist. Like that was a big part of my self-healing journey, my healing journey. And she also, because I used to feel guilty for, and sometimes I do find myself, because I could be a workaholic. I really could be a workaholic. I don't know where I get that from, but I could really zone in on something to the point where I consume it so much, and I could just forget about the stuff I got to do, right? So like doing a facial mask, that's an example of self-love. And I even now, because being an entrepreneur, I got to be intentional about my self-love practices so that I don't experience burnout, because that's a whole nother thing too.
I love that you're talking about self-love and you said like little acts and action, because I truly believe that love is an action. It's a verb. It's a thing to do and not just to feel. So what are some of the practices? What practices have helped you to know and love yourself better?
Meditation, Sharice. Like when I stand on meditation. When I'm putting out those posts and saying like, you guys got to meditate. Meditation has taken me to places that me being in my regular real life, I would have never been able to go. Like, it's to the point sometimes like sometimes I'll be like, did I dream about that, or is that real life? Like, the power of meditation is so transformative. And I don't think we talk about that a lot either. Like, you could really reprogram your mind, reprogram your subconscious, all through the acts of meditation. So meditation, I'm always going to bring that up as number one. A second practice would be journaling again, right? Because like I feel like as an adult, we rush growing up to become an adult, to go back to doing the things that we appreciated as a kid. Like, it's a weird concept, but and the more I think about the things that I love to do as a kid, I'm like, it makes me very, very happy as an adult. So journaling is one, because again, I'm an overthinker, I'm an overanalyzer. So because my brain is like do 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 do, I gotta put that on paper. Like, I don't want it. And once I put it on paper, it's a release for me. It's like, I got more brain space for other things. And baths. Like, I appreciate a bath now, especially a spiritual bath. Yeah, like especially when you feeling like funky energy. Yes, that's another practice. It's so many. Even and lately I've been doing this. Is it feels weird when you're by yourself, right? But I've been hugging myself. Like, there's so much power like, for real, I want everybody who's listening right now, there's so much power in hugging yourself. And the other day I was like, oh my God. I'm not about to be weird on camera, but do that. Do that in the privacy of your own home, and I promise you're gonna feel different. It's just, I'm just trying to experiment and find things that bring me joy. And joy doesn't have to be a whole day thing. Joy could, for me, could be 5 minutes. Joy for me could be a minute. Like, we have to find love in the smallest moments. We shouldn't have, it doesn't have to be planned. It could be sporadic. Like, it is, love is just, I feel like love is so beautiful that no matter, as long as it makes you feel good and you're honoring yourself, that's an act of self-love.
What is your love language? Do you believe in love languages? And if so, what are yours?
All of them. I'm a Scorpio. Like, all of them. Give me all of them. But all, for real. They all hit. Like, I need all of them.
No number one. Like, if that one is not there, you can't do it.
Okay. I blame my parents for this one, though. Receiving gifts. Because they, like, I'll just tell a quick, my father, his gift game, immaculate. Like, always ask him for the higher priced items. Mom, man, I used to go see my mom drive to the Bronx. You remember Avon, do you? You remember Avon? She was oh my gosh, she loved Avon. So every time I would see her, she would have like some jewelry from Avon for me. And every time I saw her. So I'm like, so that just touched my heart. And it was like, that's something I want to do when I have kids. Like, give them, like, that, to me, that's like receiving gifts. Even giving gifts, that lights me up too. But receiving gifts is big for me, just because that's how I was raised.
I love that. I love receiving gifts too. I think it's such a valid language as well, because for someone to be able to give you a really good gift, they have to know you. Yeah. And it's all about feeling known and like appreciated and seen. Because like, it's not just about receiving like a random gift. It's like, why did you get me this? It's kind of like, oh my God, how did you know? Or like, oh my God, this is so helpful. Or oh my God, so yeah, definitely love gifts as well. My number one, I would say, is definitely quality time. I'm a definitely, but same, all the love languages. I always tell people that, like, first of all, there's more than 5 love languages. I know Gary Chapman wrote the book. I did a whole presentation on it. I do presentations about the love languages just to help people self-love and like in relationships. But there's way more than like 5 love languages, okay? And we could be all of them, so it's totally okay if you guys don't have a primarily love language. But definitely, I am a quality time girly, 100%. If I can't spend time with you, because I'm a homebody, so it's like, if I don't like spending time with you, we have a problem, because what are we going to do when we're home? Yeah. So you talked about the practices that helped you love and know yourself better, and one of them that I want to bring up for me, and you'll let me know if it was like that for you, is astrology. So astrology actually helped me know and love myself more, and I feel like a big reason about it was because it gives you a lot, like astrology gives you a lot of permission to be yourself. The first time I get into astrology, I know some people can just use it to scapegoat, like, I'm like this because I'm a Virgo or something like that. But the more I like looked into my chart and like understand some of my placements, I was like, okay, so there's really nothing wrong with me. Like, this is just how this is just my energy. This is how I express. Because like, one of my first things when I remember getting into my chart was I had a Scorpio moon, That totally made sense. And I had a Leo Mars. So I'm an Aries rising. So I'm ruled by Mars, and my Mars is in Leo, my fifth. And for ever since I was young, I have just loved everything expression. So I was a huge pageant girl. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to dance. I wanted to show off. I wanted to sing. And then I loved just like fashion and just like art. Just literally express yourself and just be unique and like authentic and just like express yourself. Like self-expression to me is like, I just love it. I love seeing unique people who express themselves with what they wear. With like, I love being able to tell something about someone by how they express, right? Like with you, just like the necklace and everything like that is just, I don't know. I feel like being dripped in self-expression is just so beautiful. But that was me. And I hid this part of myself where I felt like it was weird or it shouldn't have been. And when I went into my chart and just be like, yo, I literally have my ruling planet in Leo. Like I was literally born to be a star. Like, you know what I mean? So it definitely has helped me just like love and accept myself some more, because I just noticed, like I said, nothing was necessarily wrong with me. Just energy is energy. And yeah, it was just a practice. Like everything, like human design, all of those things, they just helped me love and accept myself even more. Like even being like a generator and like having a sacral response and having to respond and all of those things. When I see these things, I'm just like, oh yeah, makes sense. Totally makes sense. Like that's how I am. And it just makes me not feel necessarily bad about how I show up or how I present or how I express. And that has been a huge part of accepting myself as I am and just accepting my desires, accepting like how I want to be. I want to show up here. I want to talk to people like you. I want to like present. I want to do these things, right? That has been a huge part. Like my spiritual journey and my spirituality has been a huge part in helping me create more self-love.
I love that. I love the fact. So I feel like I'm learning so much about you while we're talking right now too. You did pageants. I did pageants too. Like I don't even know if that was me or that was my mom, but I did pageants too. She was a Gemini's sun.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that was like, you should be on stage too. Da, 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 da. And as far as astrology, yeah. So astrology, because I'm a writer, I have a whole notebook. So as I started to dive deeper into astrology, I also dived deep into tarot, and then I also dived deep into human design. So when I started writing down, but when I got into human design, I think that was more of a game changer for me, because it was like, oh, you dissect, you going in, like you're telling me who I am to the core. Even like the environment, my environment is kitchen. So I was like, oh, that's why I like to bake. Like, okay, that makes sense. So like learning those little things, and I feel like human design, it was I don't want to say it's more raw than astrology, but I felt like it gave me so many hidden secrets about myself, and it made me. I got excited because I'm like, oh yes, okay, that's why I am the way I am. And then because a human design gets so deep, I'm not advanced in it, but the parts that I did dissect, I'm like, okay, I see where this is going.
I think we both share in human design a similar line. We both share the 4 line. I'm a 4/6 and you're a 2/4. So your 4 is unconscious, mine is conscious. So for you, people see you as a 4, but you may not see yourself as a 4, which is just like, master connector, community builder, that type of vibe. And something that I learned about the 4 recently that I'm just going to share here, because we're both 2 4s, is that I used to always see the 4, because the 4 could also be called like the opportunist. And they used to always say like, you're the master networker and all of that. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not the master networker. But something that someone said recently in the podcast that really helped me, they're like, you're here for big influence, but for your tribe. for your people, not for everyone. So it's not about networking and creating a whole bunch of friends for no reason, but it's like networking and like finding your people who really connect with you, your vibe. So literally what we're doing right now, because there's like tens and thousands of and millions of people on the internet, right? But we met and we're connecting with each other and we're networking with each other and we're merging and creating something together. And I learned that when you have a 4-line, the more authentic you are, the more you find your people and your people that you're meant to like influence and be a part of and be part of your network. So I think it's really interesting that we have 4 lines and we're here.
I love it. I get excited because it's like, yes, alignment, yes, synchronicity, yes, the divine is working, and then also I feel like that's how you know you're growing. That's how you know you're on your path when you're reminded that, because it could be like little things. You could the us sharing the 4-line, like I didn't know that, and then our conversation just automatically got there. I don't even think we were supposed. Was that on the agenda to talk about it?
No. We're just flowing. But I like what you said, that it's a testament to how much you grow, because yes, I do believe that the people that I'm meeting now, I feel like it is is a huge testament to my growth and my level of self-love and acceptance, because I feel like once you do love and accept yourself, you meet people who love and accept you just as you are, and you don't have to change. But when you are not loving yourself, or where you have low self-esteem, or you're still feeling like deep feelings of unworthiness, and you're really feeling your wounds, and you're really feeling like whatever wounds you have, you find people who resonate with those wounds, or who feed off of those wounds, or whatever. But you don't find the people who are really there to it's not that you don't find. You attract everyone, but do you let them in is really the question. And when you don't love yourself, you don't feel like you deserve that love. If you can't look at yourself and be like, you're worthy of love just as you are. Like, I don't care about these faults that you have. I still love you. You find it weird when someone comes into your life and says, I love you as you are. You find it almost unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. You're not ready. Sometimes I never think that type of energy. Like, you love me just how I am. I don't got to do this. You like it. You start having rebuttals. I don't got to do this. Like, you like this? Okay.
It's weird because you're just like, and that's why sometimes I feel like people, I know next week we're going to be talking about relationships and friendships more, and love when it comes to that. But I do feel like it's a huge reason why a lot of people sabotage in love. It's like when you have a healthy love, you don't know how to receive it because you don't have deep self-love. It's when you give yourself love, you understand that you deserve it and you're worthy of it. I'm gonna end with this. I can't believe we've been talking for an hour already. It hasn't felt like it, but I'm gonna ask you, what are some of your favorite tips, like for people who are here today who want to develop and cultivate deeper self-love and self-acceptance within themselves? What are your favorite tips or advice that you can give them?
Advice I would give is find out what you love. Find out what lights you up. Find out, and you guys can see it on my Instagram. I love to dance, and dancing is just a reflection of the healing that I did. It's a reflection of what makes me happy during my healing, which is dancing. And I think finding what brings you joy is very important to understanding how what acts of self-love will make you happy, right? And when you're feeling at your lowest points, how these acts of self-love can elevate you and bring up your energy and make you vibrate higher, right? Because when we're vibrating low, you can't stay there, because that's when you attract more. That's when you attract more low vibrational shit. But it's okay to accept those feelings, but don't stay there for long. And then once you get out of that energy, you're gonna need tools, and you're gonna need acts to do in order to make you feel good about yourself. And what is that for you? It could be writing, it could be singing, it could be listening to music, it could be coloring. There's so many different ways. That's why I said self-love is not just one thing, and self-love is your definition. Imperfect, I love the title Imperfect Self-Love, because everyone's journey was everyone's journey is different. Everybody's self-love journey is different, right? And you have to define what that looks for you, because everyone loves themselves differently. How I love myself, Sharice not gonna love herself the same way, and how Sharice love herself, I'm not gonna love myself the same way. So it's all about that self-discovery piece. You have to know who you are, the real version of you, not what society says who you are, not what your parents say who you are at the end of the day, who you look at in the mirror at the end of the day before you go to sleep. Who is that person? Get to know that person, because that's where the self-love journey, I feel like it truly begins, when you can stand on that.
I love that. So Tamar, I think you're asking for the Human Design podcast that talked about the 4-line. I believe I looked really quickly in my history, and that's one of the videos that came up. I really think it's that one. So I sent it to you in the chat. So I think I'm going to ask you one more question. Mm-hmm. So let's say some of the people here today, the audience, buys your book. How can they apply the principles from your book to their own lives to help them build imperfect self-love?
There's so many points in here. And the crazy thing is, the way that the book is used, I've never envisioned the book being used that way. Like, to have an idea and to actually make it come to life, and then see how different people use it is beyond me. But picking my book up and randomly selecting a poem or a piece of art that speaks to you, I feel like this book is not one of those you just read straight through. It's one of those, all right, I need to pick me up right now. Let me see what is going to be a reminder of my power. What's going to be a reminder of me being I'm her or I'm him energy, right? And understanding that nobody's going to be confident in that. Be confident in who you are. Be confident in knowing that you are nothing to play with. Okay? Nothing to play with. And I love talking this way because so many people, I know for a fact, so many people struggle with self-love, and it's okay. It's okay. Like, it's okay to not be where you are in your self-love journey, but you're going to get to the other side at some point, as long as you're intentional about it, as long as you're authentic about it, and as long as you keep pouring into yourself, people going to see your light.
Y'all, if you have any questions, comments, we are going to be wrapping up within the next 10 minutes. So any questions that y'all have when it comes to self-love, when it comes to self-love in a relationship, when it comes to loving yourself despite flaws or past mistakes, any questions like that, you can leave it in the chat for us. And when it comes to, yeah, go ahead. And when it comes to advice for self-love and tips for self-love as well, I did want to say definitely spirituality helps. And you said earlier, Keisha, that you love meditation. I'm a huge meditation fan. And because it just really slows things down, and it made me understand that I'm not my thoughts. And a lot of the times when we're struggling with self-love and confidence, we have a negative and a critical person in our brain, and they're telling us that we are not worthy of love. They're telling us that we're a fuck up, and just repeating very nasty narratives to us. And by meditating and journaling, I really realized that, okay, this voice was not mine. And I was really able to write the love letters. I call them love letters to myself, write positive things about myself, write the things that I was changing into, write them down and repeat it to myself. And also just, I do a lot of self-love meditations. I have one on my podcast and in the link in my bio if anyone wants. But I do a lot of self-love meditation. So you were talking about hugging yourself earlier. That's not like, of course, that's not weird. Like, that's a huge thing. When I meditate with people and I guide them, I tell them, literally hug yourself right now and like feel the appreciation of yourself. I think like we treat ourselves like we treat people better than we treat ourselves. And self-love is about understanding that you deserve your own love. The same way you treat your best friend, your partner, the people you love the most, you deserve that as well. So if there's any mindset shift or anything that you guys want to take, I definitely want you guys to take that with you, that you deserve your own love as well. And putting your own love on yourself through action, through your mindset, through the things that you do for yourself is so important, because you're showing yourself that you love yourself. And self-compassion, having self-compassion for yourself is really big. And that's what meditation really helped me too, is having self-compassion. Sometimes we don't love ourselves because we made mistakes. There's no manual to life. No one knows what they're doing. I don't know who. Nobody knows what they're doing, y'all. So making mistakes is part of the journey. So you can't hate yourself because you made a mistake. Sometimes we don't like ourselves because we made mistakes. We didn't make the best choices. We let someone come in and disrespect us and we accepted it. But having self-compassion and self-forgiveness, I think, is a huge component to self-love. And I feel like the more you forgive yourself, the more you're able to cultivate and feel deeper self-love within yourself. As long as you're holding on to that baggage and the shame, and you're beating yourself up for the past things that you did, you're not going to be able to attain that deeper sense of self-love, because you have to be in alignment with yourself. You have to be like your best friend in a way. And, no one wants to have a best friend that's constantly beating them up, constantly reminding them of all of their past problems, telling them they're the worst person. Like, we wouldn't want that, right? So we have to really be that person for ourselves. And I think that because I know sometimes when we talk about self-love, it can sound like fluffy when people talk about love and everything like that. And it's like doing their nails, but it's really like being a loving person to yourself. Being a loving person to yourself, turning your love from not necessarily turning it, but like making sure that you get part of your love as well. You get unconditional love from yourself, because sometimes in this life, we may be the only people that extend unconditional love to ourselves. We may be lucky to find other people who give us unconditional love, like our parents, like lovers. But sometimes we have to make sure that in this lifetime, that if someone's going to give us unconditional love, it's us, and we deserve to love ourselves like God loves us. So I'm just going to end on that note. But Keisha, I feel like you have to lead us out with a beautiful testimony and sermon for the people as well.
Thanks, Charisse. I just want to remind who's listening right now that it's okay to not have everything figured out. It's okay to know that you want more for yourself. It's okay to give yourself grace and honor yourself every step of the journey. But the most important part is enjoy the journey as it unravels, because that's the beauty of it all, right? We can sit here and say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but just be present, just enjoy. And because we can, our minds can go, oh, I can't wait for the future. Why did the past me accept that? Just be present. The beauty's in the presence. There's a present. The present is a present.
I love that, and it talks to like your love language. Okay, y'all, let us know if you have any comments, any questions before we end the live. Keisha, I have loved talking to you about self love. I am a huge self love advocate. So just to have another beautiful human being who believes in self love and who preaches self love and who embodies self love and confidence is amazing that we have connected through the like world of people who are out there that we've connected and been able to do this. And we actually have a couple more we actually have more topics coming up. So we have one on relationships. I'm gonna actually let y'all choose. For those of y'all who are here right now, do you want a relationships and live next week? So we're going to be talking about healing in relationships, friendships, finding friendships when you're like healing. What does relationships look like once you've like done your self-love journey a little bit? We talked a little bit about like female friendships, but we'll go deeper into them next week. Well, I'll let y'all choose. Do you want a relationships live, or do you guys want this ended live around um feminine power and just like embracing our feminine energy and our sacral chakra and our spiritual journey and how we both found our purpose? So, do we want feminine power next and purpose, or do we want relationship, female friendship, and healing in relationship, and how we, are navigating the dating world, being healed and spiritual beings? So let me know what y'all want below. Relationship or purpose? Relationship or feminine power? I'm gonna let y'all choose. Which one are you excited for, Keisha?
I feel like the relationships is a hot topic right now. So relationships, I'm excited for that one. What about you?
I have feminine power one. I feel like sacral chakra, we're gonna get nice and juicy on the sacral chakra one. But honestly, both. I'll honestly both. We have a vote for feminine energy. We have another vote for relationships. So we're tied. We need someone to break the ties, y'all. Relationship or feminine power? We need someone to break the tie. A lot of y'all are here listening right now, so just comment down below. Relationship or feminine power, feminine energy. But so happy to have you here, Keisha, today. I'm excited for all of them. I know we're gonna rock all of them. I love how in depth we went today and how deep we went and how vulnerable you were willing to show up and just like bringing us into your life path and letting us know, some of the pain that you've went through. I know it's not easy talking about these things, and I really appreciate the fact that you felt safe enough here to open up and to help us see this side of you. So just thank you so much for coming on the Growth Project and just being such a beautiful light here.
Thank you, Grace, for having me. Again, thank you for paving the way and radiating your light so that we can come here and we could be together. So I appreciate you. I'm so happy I met you. I'm so happy we crossed paths. And again, that's nothing but the divine. So I'm here for all of the sauce.
I love it. Can't wait for the rest. Okay, so it seems like next one we're gonna be talking about relationships. We got that extra vote for relationships, so we'll be talking about Come tune in next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. sharp. We're gonna be talking all about healing in relationships, dating in the modern world as a spiritual woman, dating while being a healer, dating while being a light worker. Like we're about to get into it. We're also gonna be talking about female friendships as well and how we both navigate that, and more talk about just love in general and all about relationships. And the week after, we're going to come back all about that feminine energy and how to be in your feminine essence and soak up your feminine power and what feminine energy means to both of us. So make sure to tap in with us for the next couple of Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. We can't wait to see y'all. Bye, everyone. Bye. Let me just play a little outro music.